Welcome to Impact by DIFFA Dallas, the official podcast of the Dallas chapter of the Design Industries Foundation Fighting AIDS. We'll share valuable info about the fight against HIV and AIDS, what our organization is doing to assist those in our community, and most importantly, how you can help us make a real impact.
Hi, welcome to Impact by DIFFA Dallas. My name is Tim Garippa, and we have a fantastic show for you today. We are joined by our House of DIFFA co-chairs, Clint and Brittanie, and they're going to share a little bit of insight into what to expect this year for House of DIFFA. So welcome.
Hi.
You guys both have been a part of DIFFA for many years, both as chairs of House of DIFFA and also as the board chair. So I want to hear a little bit more from y'all around why are you involved? What's your passion around DIFFA and why is it important to you? Clint, why don't we start with you?
I started with DIFFA in 2003 was my first year. I was board chair of a rural AIDS organization that served Weatherford, Stephenville. It served 32 counties west of Fort Worth. And we were a benefactor of DIFFA. We got a grant every year and it helped us keep going. Sadly, that organization closed down due to lack of funding. I started going to DIFFA, started seeing how I could raise more money to help more organizations like AIDS Resources Rural Texas that had closed.
Sure.
And I actually started attending DIFFA in 2011 was the first year. And really started becoming more aware of the cause and of the organization itself. And as I learned more about how HIV was even affecting a lot of people close to me in the Dallas area, it really made me feel like, as a straight heterosexual female, that, if I have a voice, that maybe there might be a few more people that might listen.
Sure.
So I joined the board shortly after. It was, 2000. Actually, it was 2000. Later 2011, 2012 that I joined the board because Clint and Darren actually invited
me. Who suckered you to that?
Clint and Darren actually asked me to be on the board and then served for 5 years and took a break and we're back.
Yeah. And what keeps you coming back? I mean, obviously there's still a need, right, in the community. So what keeps that passion alive? What keeps you coming back and wanting to give your time? Because it's all volunteer time, and it's a lot of time.
I think it's like you say, the need that's still out there. A lot of people think that they have the misconception that there's a cure for HIV, or they think that people don't need the funds anymore. Actually, people with the better drugs and prescriptions we have now, people are living longer, right. And they're needing more care because instead of them having a 3 or 4 year lifespan, now they're living to be 70. So there's segments of the community that have trouble getting access to medications, or they can't work, so they need help with food or transportation or whatever. But this isn't a short-term problem. It's now become a long-term problem. So it's just hard to walk away when there's still such a great need.
Right.
Yeah, and to add on that, I think Clint just explained it perfectly, is now the needs are different, is it's evolved more. Now it's not so much about, even though the medications out there are great, they're, those still need to evolve and become more affordable. Now with people living longer, then it's, what do we do to help them with a lot of the costs of these types of things?
Sure.
Or, even when it comes to just food and, basic necessities, because costs are so high for a lot of these things. So, it's just more about finding more ways with how the needs are evolving with HIV and AIDS and really still assisting those people that need our support.
Sure. And I think DIFFA is doing a really good job, in House of DIFFA specifically, around how to address it in an open dialogue, right? And get rid of the stigma. Right? I think that's one of the big problems, and I think that's something that I'm proud of. What comes through House of DIFFA, and what's going to come through what people are going to see coming up. So with that, let's talk a little bit about the theme. Right? Every year there's a new and interesting theme. So tell us about the theme this year, how you came up to it, and what's involved.
Well, this year's theme is Extravaganza. I had this wonderful theme picked out, and I told Jim and Justin about it, and they went, eh. And Jim said, what about Extravaganza? I'm like, okay, that's better than mine. So we started kicking it around, talking about what we could do. I was voted off the island, but so we settled in on Extravaganza, and it's really, we've had a good feedback on it, because some of the things that are good about a theme is, one, it needs to be broad enough that it doesn't back the production company into a corner. So I mean, if your theme is greenhouse plants, then every model has to walk
Like
down with
succulents.
leaves on.
Right.
Yeah.
Succulents.
Yeah, succulents. So with Extravaganza, it gives Brian Brothers from Plant Productions, Denzel, our choreographer, and Rhonda Sargent Chambers, it gives them this ability to just take the show and make their imagination run wild. What does the show have to be about? Anything that's extravaganza, anything extravagant. Think Met Ball. Just that's extravaganza.
Yeah.
So it's a chance for Dallas to go crazy. And as far as what to wear, like when we were explaining to people, a lot of times people go, well, what do you wear to, we just went to Crystal Charity Ball, and the theme was South American Mosaic. So,
Okay. Yeah.
what do you wear to that?
Right.
So for Extravaganza, it's what is extravagant to you?
Okay.
You come as your most extravagant self.
So anything goes.
Anything goes.
Okay.
For my husband, his most extravagant thing is going to be a nice black tuxedo with a black bow tie.
Sure.
I mean, he's just going to be buttoned down, James Bond, super nice, extravagant. Now, Don Geyser is going to have capes and wings and head feathers. I mean, who knows?
Right.
So anything goes. What's the most extravagant you?
Okay. Is there a background? Is there a reason for Extravaganza? Is there some backstory that leads us to where we are today?
I think what it comes down to is Extravaganza really sums up DIFFA Dallas. I think that really gives a good interpretation of what people would feel when they come into our events.
Sure.
It is over the top. It's completely, one of those places where when you come for your first time, you expect the unexpected.
Right.
There's always going to be surprises. There's always going to be, twists and turns. And, our thoughts are, as long as we have a few people that might be a little shocked and stunned, then we've done our job.
Sure.
So, but really, it's more of a celebration of 30 years. I mean, this is our big 30th anniversary. Right. So, it's really paying tribute to all of those generations that have really evolved and who have struggled throughout all of the HIV and AIDS trials and tribulations. That there's a lot of things to celebrate, and then there's definitely a lot of work that we have to go. So I think for us this is more of a celebration in the sense that we have been around for 30 years, but it's also a reminder that, we still have work to do.
Yeah.
There's also another interesting tie-in to the word extravaganza. Extravaganza means like a elaborate party or ball. But also, as this is our 30th anniversary, in New York they have houses which are like small communal families, chosen families, that they support each other. And one of the most famous ones is the House of Extravaganza, who's also recently had their 30th anniversary. Okay. And back in the 80s, when AIDS was just wiping out the communities in New York and San Francisco, the houses were a real strong support of each other. When someone came down with HIV or someone was dying of AIDS, that they supported each other. They became their chosen family, and their family supported them through HIV and AIDS. Our event, our gala, has been called House of DIFFA for several years. And we want people to know that we're a house and we're a family that is supporting our community through HIV and AIDS as well.
That's great. That's a great story. Yeah. You mentioned, Brittanie, around kind of the shock or awe of House of DIFFA.
Yes.
And, entertainment's always something amazing at House of DIFFA. It is a fashion show, but it's so much more, right? It's a production. So what can people expect this year for entertainment? Is there going to be anyone special, or what's the experience going to be like when it comes to entertainment?
Besides us?
Besides you.
Okay, besides us.
Yeah. Once again, expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
For us, the great thing that we do have with the history of DIFFA is we have a lot of great feedback from our patrons. We know what has worked extremely well with past galas.
Sure.
We also know we have a few tricks up our sleeve with what we think our patrons really love.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've actually put together our wish list of everything that we've seen and experienced that we know is well received by our patrons throughout the past 10 years. And
one thing that DIFFA does is we try very hard to watch our dollars, because the more dollars that we can save and conserve, the more dollars we can grant out.
Absolutely.
So when we're looking for talent, we're not looking to pay someone $300,000 because that would take such a huge chunk out of our granting.
Yeah.
So we're looking for the best value, the best bang for our buck. The year Brittanie chaired House of DIFFA, which was 2013.
yes.
I was board chair, and we had an opportunity to bring Kazaki in from Yugoslavia.
Right.
But we had to get, there was like 6 of them plus a couple of production managers. So it was airfare here and hotels, and it was just really more than we could justify. I was able to find a nightclub in New York that wanted to present them one night.
Okay.
So we ended up working out a deal that we paid half the airfare. They paid half the airfare.
That's awesome.
So we were able to cut the cost in half.
Yeah.
So
And they donated their time.
yeah, so we brought them in. They did the show. They went out to New York. So it was an opportunity for us to present a really memorable group that had a huge impact on the show. And everybody always remembers seeing Kazaki.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yet we were able to figure out how to get it for half price,
Yeah, that's
basically.
awesome. That's awesome.
So
We did the same with Emma Hewitt too when Jim was event chair, where it was cost sharing as well, where we brought her in, and there was another club in Dallas that wanted to have her come in. So yes, it's always
That's
about
awesome.
how can we maximize funds, how can we save money and still make it extravagant,
Right.
but on a nonprofit budget.
Exactly.
yeah, extravagant doesn't have to be expensive.
That's true.
Yes.
Just
That's
when
true.
you give to DIFFA, you need to give extravagantly.
Yes.
But other than that, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
pricey.
So going into House of DIFFA, there's a large amount of marketing. The marketing effort has always been seen as really strong. But so much work goes into that. Can you guys share a little bit around what it takes to pull off the marketing effort that goes into House of DIFFA? Kind of what are the ins and outs? Like what are the things that people don't see?
How long do we have? It's funny because when I was event chair, the 2012-2013 season, DIFFA had never done a marketing campaign before.
Yeah.
DIFFA Dallas didn't even have a logo at that time, and we were calling the event Collection. So having that background, I really took the initiative to say, what can we do if we did a brand and marketing campaign? And, can we start really promoting this event? And can we start making more money and selling it out? And we did sell out the 2013 season and then continued to do so for years to come, which, of course, is our goal this year.
It will happen. I know
yes,
it. Yes,
it will. So with that, really what it comes down to is, a clear creative direction as far as what we're looking to do and how we really want to brand the theme and make it fun, make it catchy,
Right.
Make it resonate with our patrons and also new patrons. So then that way when they look at the campaign ads and videos now that we're starting to incorporate. We are definitely evolving with a lot of the brand and marketing, especially with how many different media channels are out there and different platforms. So, it's really, how can we stand out and how can we not only celebrate the 30th anniversary and get people excited about the cause, but then remind them what they're coming for, and remind them about the organization and remind them about the mission and also all of the aid service organizations that we're serving.
Yeah.
So it's really a dual purpose in that aspect. But it's a lot of fun. We've used the same team since 2013.
Right.
With Bodie Helm, and they have been fantastic, and we will hopefully continue to use them for years to come because they always get our vision and they always love being creative, and we hope it's a huge success and it does sell out early.
Yeah.
And the marketing campaign is so outside my wheelhouse that we're super lucky to have Brittanie here because she's a genius.
Thank you.
When it comes to that only.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Nothing else.
Well, I'm excited to see what's coming for media this year. Bodie's always done a fantastic job. So I can only imagine with a theme like Extravaganza, what's going to come of that. Let's talk about the community, right? Our end goal is to give as much money back to the community as we can. The needs are growing over time. But the community also plays an active role in what we do for DIFFA and contributing to the success of House of DIFFA. Can you share a little bit about that and how the community is
And that's
involved?
something, Tim, that you've done a great job over the last few years is reaching out to try to expand who some of our grants are going to reach like the colleges, some of the local colleges to fund prevention and education programs to stop or slow the spread of HIV and AIDS. And along the same lines, Rhonda Sargent Chambers has worked to reach out to some of the local design schools and design colleges to incorporate them to help with costuming for the show or providing backstage help for the show.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we have a lot of great retailers. We have a lot of great local designers, whether they're in interior design or architecture or fashion or even culinary. There's so many different ways that the community really steps forward and helps us. And we do have so much support. It's probably the way, the only reason why we've been as successful as we have been is, we really do have such amazing patrons and volunteers. I mean, it takes over 100 volunteers alone just to do our show and the gala. So
the night of the gala, backstage was probably 200 people.
Right.
When you count the models, the hair, the makeup, the people running the costumes, and then the front of the house, which is what everyone sees, helping with silent auction, registration, getting your tickets, getting you into your seats, and just all that. There's probably 350 people.
We have a lot of great corporations that help with volunteers too. So, Bank of America is always a big one.
Bank of America is a huge supporter. They provide a lot of volunteers for us for our events.
Yeah, I always think it's so interesting how the community steps in and really helps us achieve what we're trying to achieve. And I always remember, even last year, right, there were some student designers that designed dresses for the show based on the theme and wore them in the show. I mean, that's cool. That's really cool. And so, I want to talk more about that and how the community is involved because that's so important. We're giving to the community and the community is giving just as much back to us. So that's fantastic. For those people that haven't been to House of DIFFA before, they're House of DIFFA newbies, what can they expect? What's the experience like?
The best night of their life.
We have said for years, this is not your grandparents' black tie dinner.
Right.
Black tie event. My partner and I, he grew up when he was about 18, he met Carlton Ferguson, whose parents are Bill and Karen Sainer, who've been big supporters of DIFFA. Yeah. Bill was president of Mobile Exxon Europe back, I'm going to say in the 80s maybe. Okay. So they lived in Italy several years, and then they moved to Rochester, New York, and they've moved all over the country, all over the world, literally. And the first year that we brought them to House of DIFFA, Bill stood on the runway watching the show, just amazed. And he said, Clint, I've traveled all over the country, all over the world, and been to all kinds of galas. I've never seen anything like this. And every year since, they've come back for the event, and they've been big supporters of DIFFA.
Yeah.
So it's hard to describe. You can watch a YouTube video and think, oh wow, that's super cool, but you don't get the impact of being live.
Right.
My family comes down from Utah, so that says it all.
Yes.
They absolutely love it and wouldn't miss it. So, and we always have new friends that, move to Dallas or live out of state, and we always invite them every year and tell them that it's one of the best parties in Dallas. And a lot of that is, really the sense of community. It's such a great group of people that are involved with DIFFA. Yeah. It really has become our second family too. Yeah. And we've met so many great people, and have had so many great friends result from DIFFA that it really is just kind of like a big party one evening to hang out with your big old Utah family.
It's a great opportunity if you're a corporation or you have clients and you want to take them to an event.
Sure.
This is an event that you can take them to and know that they're going to be wowed. Yeah. That they're going to be impressed by the value and the whole night. So from a corporate standpoint or from a business standpoint, it's a great opportunity to take some clients that are really impactful. It has a lot of meaning. It has a lot of value from what you're doing for the community, but it's also going to have value that you're going to have a really good bonding experience with those people as well.
Yeah, I know every year I've brought clients to our corporate table, and it's great. The cause links up with our core values on both sides. So it's something you can build a relationship around, and it aligns directly to a lot of companies' core values, and that's awesome. 4 years ago, I brought my mom, and she has not missed a show since. Like, it is the highlight of her year, coming from the suburbs of Dallas to come into the city and get dressed up and have a fantastic time. So it's awesome. It's really awesome.
Well, hands down, I think it's one of the largest fashion productions in the Southwest, if not, obviously New York might have us top, but I'd argue the Southwest for sure. So, it's a great experience for someone who loves design, who really just wants to be entertained, and actually go to a gala where you're probably going to be standing up and dancing, and having a great time and meeting some great people, and watching a fantastic production.
Sure. You mentioned a lot of people are involved, volunteers. What are some ways that people can be involved? Obviously, they can attend, right? But what else? What are some other ways that people can be involved, from donations to volunteering time?
Sponsorships.
Yeah, you can be involved through, you can become a corporate sponsor or an individual sponsor. You can be a table sales or a table captain. Sure. There's two ways to get a table. You might be blessed enough that you can just write a check for $4, $5, $15, $20,000. The higher priced your table, the closer you are to the runway. So you might be blessed enough that you can just write that check and then invite your friends and bring them as guests. Right. What Darren and I've always done over the years, because we weren't able to do that, is we would coordinate tables. So we would buy our 2 seats, and then we'd say, "Hey, Brittanie, do you and Jason want to come sit with us? The tickets are $500 a piece, or however much the table level is." And let your friends come, and you just basically sell seats, seat by seat, and fill your table. Maybe fill 2 or 3 tables. Some people will buy a $7,500 table, sign up for a $7,500 table, and then invite all their friends to come and pay $400 each, because that's the starting ticket level. Sure. And then they cover the difference, so they get a better table, but it's smart. A little bit smaller ask on their friends. Yeah. So that's a couple ways. Businesses can really be represented. Yeah, that's a good word. By making a donation to the silent auction. One idea, if you're a custom shirt maker, you could give a custom shirt, and that client has to come in. But what if you gave a custom shirt a month for a year, and then that client comes into your shop once a month for a year? Oh, that's cool. It becomes a habit. Yeah. But there's some people that donate to us. They give something for wreath which is our holiday event. They give something for burgers, which is our culinary event. They give something for House of DIFFA. So they really become entranced, and our patrons see that, 918 Fine Jewelry gives every time, and they start to build brand recognition. Maybe you don't have a shop to give something for the silent auction, and maybe you don't have the money for a ticket. You can volunteer. We need lots of volunteers to help set up. We need volunteers the night of the event. We really need volunteers from midnight to 4 to tear it down, and the next morning from 6 to 8 to keep moving it out. That's when we really need volunteers, people. So,
awesome.
More opportunities.
I think there's so many opportunities just with also spreading the cause and making people aware and becoming more educated about HIV and AIDS, and just also understanding what we do, and and even if you can't volunteer, and even if you can't donate or you can't come to the event, just being aware of it and just understanding it enough to where even if you wanted to go support one of the local aid service organizations that we support, there's a lot more smaller things that people can do that have a lot of great impact with the organizations.
You can like us on Facebook and then share our posts.
Exactly.
That's a way that
Little
you
things.
can help. That costs people nothing, but they can help spread the word as well.
Exactly.
Awesome. Clint, Brittanie, thank you guys so much for being here today.
Certainly.
This has been fantastic. For those of you watching, you can find out more information on our website, diffadallas.org, and we will see you at this year's House of DIFFA, May 16th at the Omni.